Glad you could join us for this edition of Channel 1 Lunchtime News on this 4th day of June 2018. A very good afternoon to you. My name is Edward Kabasa, Sign Language Interpreter. This afternoon is Lucy Mora. A leadership row between Campbell County Governor Ferdinand Waititu and his deputy James Nyoro is threatening to degenerate into a crisis, with the latter accusing his boss of frustrating his efforts. In a culmination of weeks of unease between the two leaders, Nyoro is accusing Ferdinand Waititu of antagonizing him in an alleged plot to have him pushed out of office.
Deep-seated differences at the helm of county government administrations have been a common episode since the unveiling of the devolved units. The latest fallout between the Campbell Deputy Governor James Nyoro and Area Governor Ferdinand Waititu only an addition to the list of supremacy battles in running county operations. And in what is bound to strain an already strained relationship between the two leaders, Nyoro is accusing Waititu of incompetence in heading the county, and insufficiency, he says, has already cost the county.
What has been happening in Kiambu has been a one-man show. It has been a one-man show. There has not been any consultation between the governor and the county executive members, and particularly the deputy governor. So you have a person who calls individual county executive members, asking them to do this and do that and do this. So what has happened? All the controversial issues that we are having today, including the so-called alcoholic bill, the implementation of it, I want to be told what cabinet memo was done.
At the center of the latest spat is what Nyoro terms as Waititu's high-handedness and attempts to frustrate him by turning the county's leadership against him in an attempt to force his resignation.
Those ECs, they cannot talk because they will be sacked. They are warned. If I see you talk with Nyoro or talk to Nyoro, if I see you in Nyoro's office, I'm going to sack you. Utakuta gari yako haina miguu. That's the language, of course, he uses.
The once presidential advice on food security saying he will, however, stay put.
To work under the Constitution, under the County Governments Act, under certain conditions. And I know very well, I don't need to be reminded, that the Constitution says that the deputy governor is only an assistant, or whatever the term is, of the governor. I know that. But I also know my strength, and I know my weakness.
The two have been reported to have had a strained relationship since assuming office last year, after they agreed on a power-sharing arrangement where Nyoro agreed to shelve his gubernatorial ambitions and deputize Waititu ahead of the August general election under the umbrella of the United for Campbell banner. Rose Gakwo for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
And then just a quick correction there, Nyoro is still the deputy county governor of Kiambu and not former deputy governor. Political realignments appear to be gaining traction as players seek to influence the outcome of the 2022 general election. And with Deputy President William Ruto expected to be the Jubilee flag bearer in the political contest, a section of political leaders drawn from Western Kenya have thrown their weight behind his candidature, vowing to influence the region's voters to support his election. Meanwhile, a coast-based organization has questioned the dismissal of Kenya Ports Authority Managing Director Catherine Mturi, alleging that it was politically motivated. The Tyrone Mijikenda movement has questioned the procedure used to send the former KPA boss on a compulsory leave. The group termed the decision by the board illegal and politically motivated.
Sisi tunajua kwamba vita dhidi ya Catherine Mturi kumuua katika bandari viko kwa misingi ya kisiasa na siasa za pwani ama za kitaifa, zabuni kubwa ambazo ziko pale bandari na cartels ambao hawa wanapenda mambo yasibadilike, yabaki vile vile.
According to the group, Mturi had in fact managed to streamline operations at the port contrary to the allegations.
It's an attempt to cover up, kufunika ule ubaya wa mashirika mengine ambayo yameshindwa kufanya kazi pale port, wanamwekea Catherine Mturi.
Meanwhile, a section of political leaders from the Western Kenya have endorsed Deputy President William Ruto's 2022 presidential bid. Led by National Assembly's Majority Whip Benjamin Washali, the leaders said they will use the proposed Luhya Unity Pact to push for representation in a Ruto presidency.
Ile iliyoko muhimu ni sisi kukaa pamoja, tujue serikali inatengenezewa wapi, na sisi tuende. Wakati huu hatutaki watu wa Western Province wawe nje ya serikali.
So sisi tufuatane na huyu mheshimiwa Ruto, atutafutie tukue hapo namba 2. Yeye akimaliza miaka zake 10, sisi tuchukue ushukani, watu wetu tutakuwa tumesukuma juu, alafu Muluya atashikilia uongozi.
In Baringo County, the race for the Baringo South parliamentary seat continues to shape up, igniting a political battle between Jubilee and KANU. On Sunday, Deputy President William Ruto was in Marigat, where he welcomed KANU's Charles Kamuren to the Jubilee Party.
Kiwanja hii nilikuwa nasema tialala antibim, lakini kwa sasa tumeanza safari ya 2022. Mimi na support Jubilee, niko ndani.
The seat fell vacant following the death of Grace Kipchoim. To other matters, survivors of the Patel Dam tragedy in Solai, Nakuru County, have petitioned the government to compel Milmet Patel Limited to compensate the families of the 47 people who died during the tragedy. The affected households are at the same time urging donors to consider making contributions to a common kitty that can be used to acquire land to help them rebuild their lives.
The events of the Dawn tragedy in May remain fresh in the minds of the affected families. John Mwangi lost his wife and property when the Kile Dam collapsed in Solai, Nakuru County. He is among 223 families displaced during the Patel Dam tragedy in Solai. The former residents have petitioned the government to compel Milmet Patel to compensate the 47 who died during the tragedy. Scores of others incurred material losses when the dam burst and are also seeking compensation.
Our immediate problem, kama wadhiriwa, ni makao, shelter. That is our immediate problem. Because nyumba zetu zilibomolewa, hatuna nyumba, na zile tuko nazo za kukodisha. Mtu ambaye hakuzoea kukodisha nyumba, you can imagine, he will not be able to manage that for 2 months.
The victims are further calling upon donors to avail a piece of land to enable them relocate and build their lives afresh. The victims commended well-wishers and charitable organizations that have offered food and clothing to them since the tragedy occurred close to 2 months ago. The report by a multi-agency team ordered by the Interior Ministry said the tragedy could have been averted if the owners had reinforced cracks on an embankment.
A second group of 17 suspects accused of conspiring to defraud the National Youth Service of millions of shillings is currently in court to answer to charges of fraud. The total number of those who have been arraigned in court over the fraud now stands at 39, after 22 other suspects were charged last week in connection with the 9 billion shillings lost at the National Youth Service.
The wheels of justice appear to be grounding fast on the scam that has shocked the country. The institutions mandated to deal with graft give the impression that it is business unusual. Following the arrest and subsequent detention of 22 suspects of the 9 billion shillings NYS scandal, the Director of Criminal Investigations, in collaboration with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, Monday morning presented another batch of 17 individuals who have been implicated with the loss of taxpayers' money at the NYS. Justice and Legal Affairs Chair in the National Assembly, William Cheptumo, hopes that the evidence presented before the court is adequate to facilitate prosecution of the culprits.
I am happy that the DPP recently assured the country that the kind of evidence they have now on the issue of NYS are strong evidence, and we want to see now the process of prosecution proceeding on this.
The lawmaker maintaining that the current legal framework is firm enough to achieve the desired results.
We have sufficient legal framework we have institutions that is mandated to deal with the issue of corruption. What I think is lacking is commitment by those institutions.
Eric Biegon reporting for Channel 1 News.
Thank you very much, Eric Biegon, for that report. An operation to rid Narok County of betting machines has been launched as the government moves to control the craze that has been blamed for a host of social ills. Interior and Coordination of National Government Chief Administrative Secretary Patrick Olentutu says gambling has compromised the region's education standards, with school-going children spending most of their time in betting jobs.
The government ban on importation of gambling machine has elicited various reactions among stakeholders, with the betting craze blamed on the host of social ills, especially among the youth. Interior and Coordination of National Government Chief Administrative Secretary Patrick Olentutu saying that the machine have become a social menace. Speaking while he ordered a crackdown on machines in Narok County, Olentutu said the process that kicked off in Nakuru last week should be emulated across other counties so as to get the youth working.
Na tutataka tena kuona gambling machine katika maduka zetu. Tafadhalini mkiona sana sana machief na county district county commissioner yuko hapa, hizo mambo za gambling machine hatutaki. Tumekataa. Na hata ni vizuri kwa sababu rais wetu amesema amekataza hizo gambling machine kuwa imported to our country. Hiyo maneno imekataliwa na hatutakubali tena. Zile kidogo ambayo ziko maduka tuta destroy, alafu watu waenda wafanye kazi zingine kama mashamba ama kufanya kazi zingine ambayo inawezekana.
Narok Deputy County Commissioner Ronald Mwiwawi saying the government will not condone illegal businesses, saying the ongoing operations will also target those selling illicit brews. Sharon Zay, Lunchtime News.
And with that, we take a short commercial break, but don't go too far. Channel 1 Lunchtime News continues in a bit.
Every 4 minutes is a chance for you to win big with Mega Dollar. Just go to Lipa na M-Pesa, enter paybill number 295888, account name KBC, and amount from 10 shillings or more. Then select your 10 numbers from 1 to 80 and send to 29588. You can win up to 30 million shillings. Start playing now and win. Mega Dollar. Big winners every 4 minutes.
Daughter Andrea. How is she?
Andrea's very good. Andrea's doing really great. The treatment worked for her. You saved her life, Dario.
It's time for us to tell the whole story to Andrea, so she can say goodbye to her father.
I've given you all that you wanted and the heads of many jockeys. You know that fixed races make a lot of money, Greco. I can arrange the races any way that you want. But I need to make guarantees for my woman and for me.
I'm almost certain there has to be a way to escape. There are laws, the police, and the courts.
This document returns Elena Calcaño's identity to her. So that means you're still married to her.
SportPesa Super Cup has come to Kenya. Kenya's own Gor, AFC, Sharks, and Kakamega Homeboys are getting ready to take on Tanzania's finest, Simba, Yanga, Singida, and JKU. The champion will face one of EPL greats, Everton FC, at Goodison Park. Don't miss another moment of football history. SportPesa Super Cup from the 3rd to 10th of June.
back to the program. The National Land Commission has kicked off a study on all settlement schemes in the country to establish their status and possible interventions to avert any crisis. The commission is partnering with the University of Nairobi and the London School of Economics as it steps up its obligation to address the historical land question.
This is the scenario that characterized Moya settlement scheme in April. Bloody confrontations pitting residents from neighboring counties of Embu and Kirinyaga following land subdivision that turned messy. The row emerged after some residents of the scheme allegedly missed out in the issuance of 7,200 title deeds by the county government of Embu in collaboration with the Ministry of Lands.
At the Commission, we are always constant.
The National Lands Commission has moved to avert such incidences in future.
This issue of the settlement schemes as a land reform agenda leaped into our work in the sense that what has taken place in the settlement schemes, what is happening today in terms of the population, the demographic changes, the health of the soil, and generally the whole agenda for food sustainability. And it's important to note that apart from that,
the Commission has commissioned a research on all the 483 settlement schemes in the country to collect data which will help avert land conflicts. The Commission is collaborating with various partners in a research that will run through the year 2022.
Given the mandate to research on land and natural resources is asking the question, what exactly is happening in Trans Nzoia County? When we documented all the 42 settlement schemes, we found out that there were 11,793 residents who are given right to that land. Today, that is not the number. So if we were given 11,000 people are given land, today there are 4 million or 5 million people on that parcel of land. What story is not being told by the National Land Commission to Kenyans about what has taken place over time in Trans Nzoia?
The National Land Commission, led by the Research Department under Dr. Fabian Lucalo, gave us the inspiration and the motivation for this project, and also did the basic research in terms of a very systematic statistical analysis of settlement schemes in Kenya since 1960. The University of Richmond partnership brings us some technical expertise in geocoding, the maps that will provide part of the empirical base for the analysis.
The study aims at coming up with crucial data that will inform interventions it would make to ensure justice for everyone.
Katsangani Primary School in Tana Delta urgently requires 5 million shillings to construct classrooms and basic infrastructures such as toilets to enable pupils attend school in sanitary conditions. The school, situated in Kurawa sub-location with a population of 425 pupils, has only 2 permanent classrooms, forcing learners to quench their thirst for education under trees and mud-walled structures, while the only available pit latrine is almost caving in. Here is the story of Forgotten School, where even teachers have to use a dilapidated structure to keep important school records and prepare lessons. Caroline Kamau with that report.
Education, it is said, is to be the greatest equalizer. It is a virtual currency that would one day ensure even the poor make a positive impact in their lives. However, the inequalities that face some students in their quest for education in Kenya make the adage seem like a mirage for pupils such as this one's. This is the daily route to school, and during the rainy season, many cannot make it. For those who struggle through the terrain, these dilapidated structures are what they have to contend with when they get to the precincts of Katsangani Primary School, situated in Tana Delta.
Wapate masomo mazuri, wapate majengo mazuri, ili pia vile vile nao wakaweze ndoto yao ya elimu ikaweze kutimia.
Majengo yetu ni duni. Watoto wanasoma kama machokora, manake hatuna viti, maji yenyewe ni ya kuombaomba, walimu pia hawatoshi, ni aende kule, anavutwa huku aende kule.
Sanitation is also another huge concern here. The school only has 2 mud-walled and roughly thatched pit latrines shared by the 425 pupils and 8 teachers. The latrines are almost caving in, and the school community is forced to answer the call of nature in the bushes.
Shule ya Katsangani ina ukosefu wa vyoo, walimu hawana vyoo, wanafunzi pia